Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of The Great Ruler Season 2 Part 1 based on novel. So let's start. With a bodyguard as powerful as Shin Sungsheng seeing them back, of course they wouldn't meet any trouble. In only 2 short days, they'd already closed in on the border of the Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy. Over those 2 days, Mu Chen recovered a lot from the ominous energy, thanks to the medicinal pellet that Shin Sungsheng had given him. Furthermore, the strength of his spiritual energy had also risen. Although the ominous energy was a dark and foreboding existence, it could also be considered a form of power. Mu Chen had exhausted most of the ominous energy during his battle with Bai Xian, but he still had a little left over. He could benefit from absorbing those remains. Mu Chen was elated at his quick recovery and felt even more grateful towards Shin Sungsheng. If it hadn't been for his medicinal pellet, then Mu Chen's wounds would have taken even longer to heal. In the sky outside the Northern Heaven City, several light figures flew overhead and landed on a nearby mountain peak. It was Mu Chen's group, rushing back to the academy. Senior Brother Shin Sungsheng, are you not following us back to the Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy? Mu Chen inquired as he looked at the black-clothed youth. Shin Sungsheng smiled and shook his head. I accepted Mo Long's bounty mission, but I haven't completed it yet. So, I won't return for now. Guo Xiong smacked his lips when he heard that. No wonder Shin Sungsheng was ranked one of the heavenly ranking. He actually dared to pursue the savage Mo Longzi. He was probably the only one in the entire Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy who would dare to do such a thing. Then, we'll part here. I hope you'll successfully accomplish your mission. By the way, our Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy will be hosting the annual hunting war next month. Will you be back for it? Su Xian smiled. Hunting war? Shin Sungsheng narrowed his eyes. This year's hunting war will be especially challenging. According to my sources, the Guardians will be the 3 great generals of the Punishment Hall, Su Xian explained. The 3 great generals of the Punishment Hall? Those 3? They are actually coming out this year? Shin Sungsheng was shortly taken aback, and a look of shock flashed across his eyes. Su Xian shrugged and nodded. Those 3 were the top students of our seniors class. Even though they graduated, they still stayed to cultivate in the punishment hall. So if you don't come back, then I'm afraid we might end up losing this year's hunting war. Shin Sungsheng knitted his brows. I never thought they'd come out. Well, in that case, I'll try my best to rush back in the time. Those 3 aren't easy to deal with, and I also wish to spar with them. Su Xian nodded with a light smile as she continued, since you're willing to come back, then we might have a chance at the last stage. With you and Li Xiantong. Shin Sungsheng smiled and stayed briefly to make some more light conversation before he left in a streak of light and rapidly disappeared over the horizon. Ha ha, if Senior Brother Shin Sungsheng comes back for the hunting war, then we might have a chance of winning. Guo Xiong smiled as he looked in the direction that Shin Sungsheng had disappeared to. Hunting war? What's that? Mu Chen asked in confusion. The hunting war is an event that our Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy hosts every year. It's a grand occasion where almost every single student participates in an intense battle. Who knows how much unexpected geniuses might appear? Don't make a mistake by thinking that all the Formidable's figures are already listed in the heavenly ranking. Some people are really good at enduring and hiding their presence. Mu Chen sighed and nodded. With so many students, there was no way all of them could be listed in the heavenly ranking. There were still more formidable figures hiding away. Shin Sungsheng was a dark horse. He used to be relatively unknown in our Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy. But his fame shot through the roof during one particular hunting war. He defeated the Heavenly Rankings Rank 1, as well as the Guardian of the event. Since then, his name has spread far and wide throughout the Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy. Even today, his position as the Rank 1 of the Heavenly Ranking is unshakable, Guo Xiong said with adoration. Mu Chen lightly nodded. Shin Sungsheng clearly wasn't an ordinary guy. Then, who are these Guardians? Mu Chen asked again. He realized that didn't know a thing about these huge events in the Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy. There are Guardians in every hunting war. They are never current students, instead, they are from the punishment hall. Most of them are graduated students who didn't want to leave the academy and simply stayed here to cultivate instead. All of them are extremely powerful. Su Xian lightly continued, I heard that they are sending out 3 guardians this time, the 3 great generals of the punishment hall. 3 great generals of the punishment hall? Mu Chen blankly repeated those words. Ha ha. Back in the days, the 3 of them were famed throughout our Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy. They still possess such fame within the punishment hall. Rumors say that a year ago, the 3 of them set out together on a mission to hunt down the rank 1 on the bounty board, Mo Xingtian. Mo Xingtian. Mu Chen was stirred by that. Mo Xingtian topped the Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy's bounty board. He was rumored to be the youngest elder in the history of the demonic Dragon Palace, and possessed monstrous talent and tremendous strength. He was far more powerful than Mo Longzi, who they'd encountered a few days before. If the 3 great generals were strong enough to chase after someone like that, then their strength must be extremely frightening. What was the outcome of that chase? Mu Chen couldn't help asking. Outcome? Su Xian said helplessly with a smile. How could it be easy to deal with Mo Xingtian? Even the 3 great generals together returned empty-handed. However, the fact that they were able to make a full escape from Mo Xingtian was already a considerable feat. Mu Chen also nodded. Mo Longzi alone was already very powerful, so that the ranked 1 of the bounty board, Mo Xingtian, should be even more fearsome. He wouldn't be ranked so highly if he could be easily killed. For this hunting war, the 3 great generals will be the students' common enemy. You can only claim victory by defeating them. Afterwards, you can exchange your spiritual light for mouth-watering rewards. Su Xian paused as her charming eyes lit up. That would be the spiritual light empowerment. The moment she mentioned this spiritual light empowerment, Mu Chen clearly noticed a burning desire flash across Li Qing's frosty face. He only smiled in confusion. This spiritual light is formed from the purest spiritual aura. It'll be one of our objectives during the hunting war. The more spiritual lights we collect, the more rewards we'll receive from the spiritual light empowerment. Su Xian saw the blank expression on Mu Chen's face. He clearly hadn't followed her explanation, so she smiled and tried again. I heard that you participated in the spiritual road before, so you should know about the spiritual road empowerment, right? This spiritual light empowerment is roughly equivalent to the spiritual road empowerment. Both can greatly unleash your potential and enhance your strength. Oh. Now Mu Chen understood. His heart trembled. No wonder the hunting war often allowed students who'd been in hiding to expose themselves. So, there were such great rewards at stake. Mu Chen had participated in the spiritual road before, so he knew about the importance of the spiritual road empowerment. If he hadn't possessed those means, then it would have been hard for him to catch up to the kings of the spiritual road. If the spiritual light empowerment really had such miraculous abilities, then he definitely couldn't afford to miss out. But, in order to obtain the spiritual light empowerment, you'll have to defeat the final guardian, of course. That's where the 3 great generals of the punishment hall come in. They will definitely be our opponents. Su Xian gently smiled. Otherwise, why would I remind Shen Sanxiang to come back for the hunting war? Wouldn't I be finding more formidable opponents for myself? Guo Xiong sighed. That's right. In the past, there's always been only 1 guardian. But this time, there are 3, and they are the renowned 3 great generals of the punishment hall. Shen Sanxiang and Li Xiantong are probably the only ones who can contend against such formidable figures. Mu Chen lightly nodded. Right now, you could say that Shen Sanxiang and Li Xiantong were the most powerful 2 in the entire Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy. If the 2 of them weren't enough, then none of the students would win much from this hunting war. All right, we're almost there. Let's visit the Northern Heaven City to turn in our report and get the invitation to the academy. Su Xian said as she pointed towards the Grand City, the Northern Heaven City, one of the external defenses of the Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy. Everyone else nodded in agreement to her words. Then, they moved and streaked across the sky, and entered the majestic Northern Heaven City. They didn't stay for long in the Northern Heaven City. They quickly found an academy mansion to make their report and successfully obtained an invitation. Soon, they were passing through the vast borderlands of the Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy. Within 2 hours, they were within sight of the endlessly imposing academy itself. They stared at the vast academy grounds and couldn't help their sighs of relief. Smiles appeared on their faces. Their mission was complete. In the sky of the Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy, several lights were flying over from far away. They looked at the training grounds below as the numerous light images streaked across the sky. Their tidally tense emotions finally eased down. After experiencing those killings, they were only able to feel at ease when they reached the gentle atmosphere within the Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy. Over here, they were able to put down their worries as students of Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy. Over here, they would receive the protection from those colossal figures. Mu Chen's party entered the Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy and made their way towards the mission hall. Now that they've successfully completed their mission, it's better for them to hand their mission report over first and receive their rewards. The mission hall sat at the northwest corner of the Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy. Within the crowd, a towering, majestic, huge hall stood to one side. On the sides of the huge hall, there was a frightening amount of people flowing in and out. In the Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy, the mission hall was the most well-loved location. However, all of the students that could come here to accept the mission were those with the ability to. Especially the missions that required them to head towards the Northern Heavens continent, those missions have strict requirements. Mu Chen and his group landed in the mission hall under Su Xian's lead. Inside the mission hall, it was abnormally lit up. Along the walls, there were many crystal screens, and on those screens, there were various missions that constantly changed. Mu Chen's line of sight swept around and landed on the middle of the mission hall. There was a blood-red crystal pillar, and on the pillar, there were names carved on it. The ghastly color caused this crystal pillar to attract the most attention in this vast hall. Every student that came here would look at those names on the blood-red crystal pillar with fear. Bounty board. Mu Chen focused his attention towards the top of the crystal pillar. There were 3 blood-red names flickering there that were dazzling to the eyes. This was the bounty board that he had heard so much about along his way here. Mu Chen looked up on the crystal pillar and several familiar names entered into his eyes. Rank 1 of the bounty board, Mo Xingtian. Reward 10 million spiritual value points, 1 supreme spiritual artifact, 1 deity tier spiritual art. Rank 2 of the bounty board, Mo Longzi. Reward 8 million spiritual value points, 1 deity tier spiritual art. Rank 3 of the bounty board, Blood Dragon, Mu Ji. Reward 5 million. Rank 4 of the bounty board, Guoxiong 1. Reward 3 million. The scarlet letters showed the danger that those names posed. The sky-high rewards would make the eyelids of others jump. However, everyone understood that not everyone could enjoy the sky-high rewards. Mo Xingtian's reward actually reached 10 million spiritual value points. Mu Chen couldn't help letting out a sigh. 10 million, he could basically buy anything he wanted. Even the blood essence of the Northern Sea Dragon, he could get 2 of those. Up till today, no one has succeeded in obtaining his reward. Su Xian helplessly smiled as she continued, that kind of figure is no longer someone that we, students, could handle. Even Shen Sangshan could only go for Mo Longzi. Mu Chen lightly nodded. He encountered Mo Longzi before and understood the latter's formidability. But that Mo Xingtian was even more powerful than Mo Longzi. According to his intuition, that fellow had probably stepped into the heavenly completion stage cultivation long ago. Even in the Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy, being at the heavenly transformation stage would allow someone to obtain an elder rank. In those slightly weaker continents, they could basically proclaim them as small sovereigns. Let's go and hand over our mission report. Furthermore, we also have to inform the Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy about the emerged demonic dragon palace. Su Xian said lightly. Thereafter, she took several steps towards the center of the mission hall. Over there, there was a huge crystal screen with students arriving and handing over their mission reports. However, in that kind of place, the difficulty of mission had different rewards. Su Xian walked straight towards the middle of the huge crystal screen. There was a white-haired elder that was snoring away. His thunder-like wheezing sounded out, but no student dared to bother him. When Su Xian saw him, she lightly smiled as she walked up. Her jade-like hands grabbed the elder's beard and lightly pulled. Ah! Who? The elder that was in the middle of his beauty sleep instantly jumped up as he grabbed onto his beard and snarled in anger. But when he saw the smiling Su Xian, he only snorted, "It's you again. If you're handing over your mission report, then hand it over. Why are you treating an old man so crudely? Humph, you're always goofing off. I say, maybe I should pluck your beard off." Su Linga also walked up and snorted tenderly. "You two brats." Elder Liu helplessly rolled his eyes and directed his line of sight towards them. "You've completed the heaven rank mission so quickly? Why is there a heavenly fusion stage brat as well?" His line of sight suddenly fell onto Mu Chen and was stunned. Thereafter, he said in a grave voice, "Girl, you actually brought that brat to the Northern Heavens continent? Nonsense, what if something happened? Could it be that you sisters are fond of him?" His words were decent to those in front. But when he saw the person in the back, his words changed and instantly caused Su Xian and Su Linga's faces to flush red. "Damnable old fart, what nonsense are you speaking?" Su Linga's face was boiling. "Hee hee." Elder Liu chuckled and continued, "What a joke. However, this complacency is against the rules. This brat's reward will be cut by half. Don't stare at me, this is only because we're familiar with each other. Otherwise, he would only dream on getting a single spiritual value point." Mu Chen was shocked. His spiritual value points will be cut by half. Their location was the heaven rank mission's counter. Therefore, when Su Xian and her party came, they attracted quite a bit of attention from their surroundings. The Su sisters possessed quite a bit of fame in the Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy. Naturally, it was easy to recognize them. Elder Liu's voice also attracted a lot of attention. Everyone's gaze was staring weirdly at Mu Chen. That brat only possessed heavenly fusion stage strength. He shouldn't have the qualifications to accept a heaven rank mission, right? Why did Su Xian bring him along? Could it be that between them, there was some kind of relationship? Oi, old fart. Stop speaking such nonsense. The information said that it was a wealthy spirit treasury when we accepted the mission. But when we arrived at the White Dragon Hillock, it was clearly a sovereign spirit treasury. So what if Mu Chen's cultivation is only at the heavenly fusion stage? The city lord of White Dragon City, Bai Xian, still died by Mu Chen's hands. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have been able to come back. When Su Linga heard that Elder Liu was about to cut Mu Chen's spiritual value points, she instantly became anxious and furiously barked. When her words were spoken, there was a moment of silence in the surroundings. Even Elder Liu was slightly stunned. Clearly, he had yet to digest the information from Su Linga's words. Sovereign Spirit Treasury? You're saying that this brat killed the city lord of White Dragon City? How is that possible? I've gone to the White Dragon Hillocks for a mission once before. The city lord of White Dragon City has cultivated to the heavenly transformation stage. It must be fake, right? The surrounding people exchanged glances as whispers broke out from them. Sovereign Spirit Treasury? Elder Liu also recovered and carried on with some astonishment. Isn't that impossible? From the news that we've investigated, it was just an ordinary wealthy spirit treasury. Nonsense, the Sovereign Spirit Treasury was clearly left behind by the White Dragon Sovereign who fell in that place a few hundred years ago. The City Lord of White Dragon City was also a chess piece from the demonic Dragon Palace. Their aim was to obtain the supreme treasure left behind by the White Dragon Sovereign. Su Linga snorted. White Dragon Sovereign? Demonic Dragon Palace? Are you guys speaking the truth? When Elder Liu heard those two names, his face changed as he abruptly stood up. His face was filled with bewilderment. Humph, how could it be fake? In the end, that bastard, Mo Longzi, had also arrived. If it wasn't for Senior Brother Shen Sungsheng, who arrived just in time, we wouldn't have been able to return anymore. Anger was struggling within Su Linga's charming eyes. We struggled with our lives to get back. In the end, the fault was on your side, since the information wasn't accurate. If it wasn't for Mu Chen, none of us would have been able to return. If you dare to cut his spiritual value points by half, I won't let you off. Mo Longzi. When the surrounding students heard that name, they instantly felt a chill in their bodies. A dense shock rushed from their eyes. Su Xian and her party actually encountered Mo Longzi? Elder Liu's face was filled with dread. His face no longer had any laziness as his line of sight was directed towards Mu Chen. Thereafter, he asked Su Xian, was what she said the truth? Correct, what Linga said was the entire truth. Elder Liu, if you don't believe us, you can question Guo Xiong and Li Qing, as well. Or, perhaps when Shen Sangsheng returns in the future, you can question him, yourself. Su Xian lightly nodded as she continued, Bai Xian was someone from the demonic dragon palace. His strength had reached heavenly transformation stage late phase. Furthermore, it really was Mu Chen who killed him. In this mission, his credit was enormous. Therefore, Elder Liu can't be confused. Next to her, Li Qing and Guo Xiong heavily nodded their heads. Their surroundings were in complete silence, even Elder Liu was looking at Mu Chen with disbelief. He actually killed Bai Xian, who was at the heavenly transformation stage late phase with just his heavenly fusion stage strength. How is that possible? Mu Chen was stared at by those gazes and felt unease. He helplessly spoke up, Elder Liu, it was only due to some special means that I was able to kill Bai Xian. It wasn't my genuine strength. Hearing his words, shock filled the eyes of the surrounding people. They could care less about the means that Mu Chen used. They only knew that this brat, whose cultivation was only at the heavenly fusion stage middle phase, actually killed an expert with heavenly transformation stage late phase cultivation. Heavenly transformation stage late phase, even in the entire Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy, the number of students that reached that height could be counted on one's fingers, right? Elder Liu's eyes looked at Mu Chen and only after a brief moment did he retract his gaze. He extended his hands. Pass me all your spiritual value point cards. The reward will be as usual, however, you guys have to clearly tell me everything you learned on this mission. I have to report this to the Elders Regiment. 1. This isn't the guy that's in Mu Chen's group, it's someone else. Mu Chen and his party exited the mission hall, raised their faces towards the blue horizon, and sighed breaths of relief. Now that they'd turned in their report, their mission was considered complete. Thanks for back there. Mu Chen smiled as he held his spiritual value point card. 1,500,000 spiritual value points. This was his largest harvest since entering the Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy. And now, he was also another step closer towards the blood essence of the Northern Sea Dragon. Su Xian smiled back. It's all thanks to you that we managed to complete this mission. It'd be ridiculous for us to let your rewards be halved. The other three nodded at that. If it hadn't been for Mu Chen, they might not have returned alive, forget about the mission. Mu Chen. Li Qing suddenly spoke up. She raised her jade-like hands, called out her spiritual value point card, and tapped it. A concentrated light flew out from her medal. She looked at him and quietly explained, as I said before, you helped me win the draconic spiritual bracelets, so my mission reward is now yours. Mu Chen helplessly smiled back. Li Qing was a cold and strong woman. Once she decided on something, there was no way to change her mind. All he could do was nod and accept the light streaming into his spiritual value point card. In an instant, his spiritual value points was over 3 million. Guo Xiong smiled too. Ha ha. Here's some from me. I took Bai Xian's high-rank spiritual artifact even though you're the one who killed him. You definitely have to accept these 1,500,000 spiritual value points. A second light flew out from Guo Xiong's spiritual value point card. When Mu Chen killed Bai Xian, he didn't keep his high-rank spiritual artifact, Blood Spear. Instead, he gave it Guo Xiong. After all, Mu Chen had already reaped the largest rewards from their mission to the White Dragon Hillocks. Not only did he obtain the White Dragon Spiritual Pearl, there was also the ominous artifact currently suppressed in his aura sea. Mu Chen had clearly benefited the most from this mission. Mu Chen could only smile bitterly as he watched the light pour from Guo Xiong's card into his own. But he knew nothing about the Great Meru demonic pillar inside of him. As of right now, he needed all the spiritual value points he could get, therefore, he could only resign himself and accept their gifts. All he could do was make note of Guoxiong's favor in his heart. Su Ling'er spoke up as well. Mu Chen, do you need more spiritual value points? Her slender fingers were wrapped around her spiritual value point card. She intended to help him, as well. I need a huge number of spiritual value points, but everyone here also participated in this mission and deserves their rewards. I'll accept Li Qing and Guoxiong's favors, and I'll return them when I get the chance. As for the rest, please stop giving me more favors to carry. Mu Chen sighed helplessly. Of course, he wanted to collect all the spiritual value points he needed to purchase the blood essence of the Northern Sea Dragon, but he still found it hard to take his teammates' mission rewards. Su Ling'er saw the determination in his eyes and quietly murmured, "All right then. But if you ever need more spiritual value points, you should come find me." Mu Chen smiled and nodded in acknowledgement. Then, he turned to cup his hands towards the entire group. Since the mission is over, I'll take my leave first and return to the freshman area. He hadn't seen Luo Li for nearly half a month and his heart was all tense from the yearning. He wanted to appear before her immediately, break the clam within her pupils, and take her into his arms. Su Xian and the others nodded. All right then. See you later. Mu Chen took his cue and turned to fly towards the freshman area. Barely 10 minutes later, he slowed down as the familiar scene spread out before his eyes. At the center of the freshman campus was a clear lake, and next to it was the plaza. Many members of the Goddess Luo Association were quietly seated and cultivating. At the center of the plaza were Zhu Ling and Yi Qingling. A gale whipped up and many of the cultivators opened their eyes in alarm to watch a single figure slowly descend into the plaza. Boss Mu Chen has returned. Boss Mu Chen is back. The freshmen broke the silence and cried out in surprise when they saw him. Everyone stood up with joy in their eyes. Mu Chen. Zhu Ling and Yi Qingling also opened their eyes in disbelief when they saw Mu Chen standing in the plaza with them. A moment later, those expressions were replaced by joy. So, this guy is finally back. Zhu Ling walked up to him and smiled. Mu Chen smiled back, then looked around. Where's Luo Li? The moment he mentioned Luo Li, everyone's expressions turned stiff. The other members of the Goddess Luo Association also hesitated. Mu Chen knit his brows at their hesitation. What's wrong? Luo Li is recuperating in that small building of yours. Zhu Ling mumbled as if he was hiding something. Recuperating? Mu Chen's face instantly froze over as he looked at Zhu Ling. His voice was ice cold when he spoke. Just exactly what happened? Yi Qingling bitterly smiled. Quite a few things have happened in the half-month you were gone. Yang Hong disbanded his Wyvern Union and took some of his men to join the Demon's Gate. Demon's Gate? The Demon's Gate is a force created by the rank 4 of the heavenly ranking, Yao. It's well known in the Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy and it's especially powerful. They are second only to Li Xuantong's Xian clan and Shen Sangsheng's Judgment Squad. Zhu Ling immediately explained. Yao? A cold light flashed through Mu Chen's eyes as he continued, what does he have to do with Luo Li's injury? Right after Yang Hong joined the Demon's Gate, he started targeting members of our Goddess Luo clan. He used to be afraid of you, but now that he's joined the Demon's Gate, he's grown bolder. Plus the fact that you were gone from the academy, he basically had nothing to fear. He started leading squads to stir up trouble and provoke us. Zhu Ling grounded his teeth as wrath filled his eyes. We couldn't bear it and fought with him. But he's an extremely formidable enemy and his current cultivation has already reached the heavenly fusion stage late phase. Even I couldn't beat him. A look of embarrassment crept over his face as he admitted it. Zhu Ling wasn't the only one who was injured. Any messengers we sent to him also returned with injuries. Yi Qingling growled. At first, we didn't tell Luo Li about it, because we didn't want to disturb her cultivation. But Yang Hong only grew more aggressive, he sent us a message demanding that we disband the Goddess Luo Association. Mu Chen's eyes turned stone cold. Since when was Yang Hong so unreasonable? The issue grew bigger and bigger until it reached Luo Li's ears. Yi Qingling bitterly smiled. Of course, she took action. This matter grew bigger and bigger and entered into Luo Li's ears. Yi Qingling bitterly smiled. Thereafter, she took action. She fought against 3 members from the Heavenly Rankings top 20. She defeated more than 10 despicable experts from the Demon's Gate. When those guys saw that they were losing the fight, they changed their tactics. Luo Li ended up fighting over 50 experts all alone. But in the end, those 3 top rankers still lost to her. But Luo Li also suffered from that battle, and that's why she's recuperating. The Demon's Gate hasn't dared to provoke us since, for fear of Luo Li's strength. That Yang Hong has also vanished without a trace. Yi Qingling grounded her teeth. Her hatred for Yang Hong was blazing. Mu Chen narrowed his eyes as a chill flickered in his black pupils. Mu Chen, I'm so sorry. It's our fault. We were so weak that we needed her to help us in such a simple matter. Zhu Ling flushed red and the other members of the Goddess Luo Association lowered their heads in shame. True, Luo Li had challenged the experts of the Demon's Gate and beat them with no small amount of fame, but that fame felt like a knife to their pride. Mu Chen lowered his eyes. There must be someone else behind Yang Hong. That's why a coward like him would dare provoke us. Someone else? Yi Qingling's expression changed. Are you talking about the Demon's Gate's boss, He Yao? He Yao was the only one who could order around the experts of the Demon's Gate. Otherwise, why would anyone listen to a nobody like Yang Hong? Mu Chen's expression turned even colder as he stared at the ground. He Yao was probably pulling the strings. But why would he target the Goddess Luo Association? Mu Chen balled his hands into fists. Right before he'd left on his mission, He Yao had asked him to hand over the seat that Su Xian had given him. But Mu Chen had rejected him. At first, Mu Chen had thought nothing of it. But now, it was a very likely motive for He Yao's grudge against him. What a petty-minded person. He Yao had probably done this to try and teach him a lesson. But he'd miscalculated. He hadn't expected there to be another formidable figure like Luo Li still guarding the Goddess Luo Association. He Yao. Mu Chen's cold eyes shifted. Zhu Ling grounded his teeth again. Mu Chen, what do you plan to do? If you're going to stir up trouble with the Demon's Gate, then take us with you. It doesn't matter how injured we are. We'll have them know that the Goddess Luo Association isn't a bunch of cowards. Mu Chen shook his head and smiled. Don't worry. Let me handle this. This wasn't Zhu Ling's fault. Mu Chen just simply never expected He Yao to be so petty. No wonder Su Xian despised him so much. Then, what are you going to do? Zhu Ling asked. Mu Chen lightly smiled as he approached his small building. A quietness fell over the plaza. Send a message to the Demon's Gate. Tell them that Mu Chen would like to visit 5 days from now, to express his thanks. This video will end here.